Hello friends, today I am going to discuss the anatomical adaptations in hydrophytes. So as far as anatomical adaptations in hydrophytes are concerned, the common anatomical hydrophytic adaptations which are observed in most of the hydrophytic plants or in all groups of hydrophytic plants, such as all hydrophytic plants possess the reduction in protecting structures in the form of hairy appendages, thick cuticle, etc. Second common anatomical adaptation which is observed in all hydrophytic plants is reduction in mechanical tissues. Third common anatomical adaptations observed in all groups of hydrophytic plants is reduction in conducting tissues. So that means reduction in protecting structures, reduction in mechanical tissues, reduction in conducting tissues, and increase in aeration. This is the last and common anatomical adaptation which is observed in all hydrophytic plants. So I am going to discuss with the help of these diagrams the anatomical adaptations which are observed in major three organs like root, stem and leaves. So as far as the root system of hydrophytic plants is concerned, morphologically we have seen root system in hydrophytic plants is poorly developed. So anatomically, if we observe the root, this is the diagram showing the transverse section of Eichhornia root. So this Eichhornia root transverse section shows the outermost layer in the form of epidermis. So this epidermis layer is not showing any additional coating of fatty substance commonly known as cuticle. That means cuticle layer is absent in hydrophytic root as well as all other roots also. But root hairs are generally present in mesophytic plants, but root hairs are very less in number or they are absent in most of the hydrophytic plants. That means absence of the root hair is the anatomical important adaptation which is observed in submerged hydrophytes as well as another group if we see in case of amphibian hydrophytes or amphibious hydrophytes possess the root hairs as compared to the submerged hydrophytes. Then next layer, next zone of tissue which is nothing but cortex. So this upper cortex is compactly arranged. It is made up of thin walled parenchyma cells. This middle cortex is made up of parenchyma cells which creates large number of air chambers known as parenchyma tissue. So this middle cortex, inner cortex is comparatively it is made up of compact arrangement of thin walled parenchyma cells. That means this upper layer of cortex, middle layer of cortex and inner layer of cortex. All three layers of cortex are generally made up of thin walled parenchyma cells. So most important character of this cortex with the presence of these air chambers. So these air chambers plays important role in the storage of air which contains oxygen as well as carbon dioxide. That means storage of the O2 and CO2 plays important role in these hydrophytic plants. The CO2 which is stored in these air chambers may be utilized for photosynthesis and O2 which is stored in this air chamber may be utilized for cell respiration. That means presence of air chamber in the cortex of all roots is an important anatomical character. Then the innermost layer of this cortex is commonly known as endodermis. It is a necklace-like layer. It is made up of barrel-shaped or tubular parenchyma cells, thin-walled living parenchyma cells. Then this endodermis is followed by thin-walled, compactly arranged cells, commonly known as pericycle. So endodermis and pericycle layers are distinct. So this pericycle layer encloses the actual conducting tissues in the form of xylem bundles as well as phloem bundles. So xylem and phloem tissues, that means these vascular tissues, they are also known as conducting tissues. The conducting tissues in most of the roots are generally poorly developed, as well as if we observe the mechanical tissues in the root of hydrophytic plants, these mechanical tissues are also poorly developed. That means poorly developed mechanical tissues and poorly developed conducting tissues or vascular tissues. This is the important anatomical adaptation shown by the each and every aquatic plant root or hydrophytic plant roots. Then with the help of this diagram, another diagram, I am going to explain the anatomical adaptations in the hydrophytic stems. So this is the diagram of Hydrilla stem tears. So in this Hydrilla stem tears, what are the layers observed in this transverse section of Hydrilla stem? Outermost layer is the epidermis. So this epidermis is made up of thin-walled, compactly arranged parenchyma cells. So this epidermis layer in stem is lacking the cuticle. That means additional layer of fatty substance cutin, now commonly known as cuticle. This cuticle is very common layer, additional layer which is present on the epidermis, upper layer of the epidermis in mesophytic plants, in xerophytic plants. But in hydrophytic plants, this epidermis layer is not covered with this cuticle. That means absence of the cuticle is an important anatomical character in the hydrophytic plant epidermis. So another important character about the cuticle may be found in some plants, some organs of the plants. For example, in submerged hydrophytic plants, the cuticle is generally absent. In submerged hydrophytic plant, cuticle is generally absent, but in amphibious plants, so you know very well what is the meaning of this term amphibious. Those plants which are growing in shallow water bodies or marshy places, those are commonly known as amphibious plant hydrophytes. So in these amphibious hydrophytes like Typha, like Cyperus, this cuticle layer is present, but this cuticle is thin one, it is not thick one. Then below this epidermis layer, there is a middle layer, middle zone, it is known as cortex. As like this root, the cortex is also showing three zones. Peripheral cortex, it is made up of thin-walled, compactly arranged parenchyma cells. This middle region of cortex is made up of thin-walled, compactly arranged, loosely arranged parenchyma cells, which creates air chambers. That's why this cortex is erenchematous. Cortex is erenchematous. That means this cortex inner layer is known as endodermis. That means as like root, this cortex shows anatomical character in the form of presence of large air chambers. That means presence of air chamber is anatomical adaptation in stem also. So as far as the epidermis layer is concerned, in case of hydrophytic plants like Hydrilla is an example of submerged hydrophyte. In this Hydrilla, epidermis shows the photosynthetic pigments. So presence of these photosynthetic pigments or chlorophyll pigments. So these small green dots in this epidermis layer, these are nothing but the chloroplasts. So these chloroplasts are present in the epidermis layer. That's why due to presence of chloroplasts, this epidermis layer in Hydrilla, submerged hydrophytic plant, also take part in photosynthesis. That means generally in mesophytic plants, photosynthetic organs are leaves. They take part in photosynthesis. Stem is lacking, stem epidermis is lacking the photosynthetic pigments. That means chloroplasts are absent. That means this is a hydrophytic adaptation, presence of photosynthetic pigments in epidermis layer. Then below this epidermis there is hypodermis. So this hypodermis layer is parenchymatous, thin-walled, compactly arranged cells. It is made up of parenchyma cells in Hydrilla. But in another some plants, this hypodermis is generally made up of other tissue known as collenchyma. So this collenchyma is a simple tissue. It acts as a mechanical tissue. That means Coelencamatous hypodermis is found in another group of hydrophytic plants. For example, floating hydrophyte like Eichhornia, Pistia, Limna. So these floating hydrophytic plants stems possess this Coelencamatous hypodermis. That means hypodermis is not uniform in all hydrophytes. In submarine hydrophytes, hypodermis is made up of parenchyma tissue. In floating hydrophytes as well as amphibious hydrophytes, the stem shows the Coelencamatous hypodermis. Coelencamatous hypodermis. Then the cortex is possessing the air chambers. As like root, the cortex of the stem also shows the presence of large air chambers. These air chambers plays important role in the storage of the air, which contains O2 as well as CO2. This O2 and CO2 plays important role in cell respiration as well as photosynthesis. As well as these air chambers, due to presence of air, it provides buoyancy to the plant organs possessing these air chambers. It may be stem, it may be leaf, etc. Then last important anatomical character which is observed in all stems is vascular tissues as well as mechanical tissues are poorly developed. So in hydrilla stem, which are the vascular tissues and which are the mechanical tissues? So this conducting tissue or vascular tissue is very poorly developed. It is represented by only xylem cavity and few tracheids. Only few tracheids are there. Xylem is represented by only few tracheids and xylem parenchyma. Other elements are missing. Other elements are absent. That means xylem is poorly developed. It is not showing the development of all the elements of xylem like tracheids, vessels, fibers, parenchyma. Out of these elements, only few tracheids and parenchyma are there. That means due to absence of these elements of xylem, xylem is known as a poorly developed xylem or poorly developed conducting tissue. So another component of conducting tissue system is a phloem. So this phloem is also poorly developed. Phloem is represented by only phloem parenchyma and sieve tube. So these green patches represents sieve tube. That means phloem is another conducting tissue which is also complex tissue, conducting tissue, commonly known as complex tissue. It is also made up of 4 elements. These 4 elements are sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem fibers and phloem parenchyma. So out of these 4 elements, only sieve tubes are there and phloem parenchyma is there. Other elements are missing. That means due to absence of other elements of xylem and phloem, the xylem tissue and phloem tissue or conducting tissue are generally known as poorly developed conducting tissue. So due to poorly developed conducting tissue and mechanical tissue, the stem of this hydrilla is not stout hard. It is a herbaceous, it is soft, it is a flexible. So then the anatomical adaptations in leaves. So leaf shows variations in the anatomical adaptations. That means in all leaves, somewhat variations are observed. For example, if we observe the transverse section of hydrilla leaf, it shows upper epidermis, lower epidermis. In between upper and lower epidermis, there is a mesophil tissue. It is not differentiated into palisade tissue, spongy tissue. The epidermis layer is without cuticle. That means absence of cuticle is shown by some plant leaves, while cuticle is observed in floating hydrophytic leaves. If we take the transverse section of floating hydrophyte, upper epidermis of Eichhornia leaf shows the thin layer of cuticle. If we take the transverse section of amphibious hydrophyte, for example typha, and observe under microscope, the typha leaf also shows the presence of this cuticle layer. That means the presence of or absence of cuticle depends upon the group of the hydrophyte. If plant is hydrophytic, plant is submerged hydrophyte, cuticle is not absent. If hydrophytic plant belongs to amphibious hydrophyte or free-floating hydrophyte, it shows poorly developed or thin layer of cuticle. That means there is no uniformity about the anatomical adaptations in the leaf anatomy of different groups of the hydrophytic plants. Then if we see the epidermis layer in submerged hydrophytic plants possess the chlorophyll pigments. If we observe the leaf epidermis in amphibious plant, hydrophytic plant, epidermis doesn't possess the chloroplast. That means this is the variation about the epidermis. That means epidermis is the outermost protective covering which is present on each and every organ in the form of continuous layer. But this epidermis layer is not uniform. It is not similar in all leaves of hydrophytic plants. It shows variations. Then, if we observe the stomata are totally absent in submerged hydrophyte. For example, if we take Hydrilla, if we take Felisneria, if we take Cara, if we take Nitella, so all these submerged hydrophytic plants, these stomata are generally absent. If we take amphibious hydrophyte like Typha, Cyperus, if we take floating hydrophyte like Ecornia, these floating hydrophytes and amphibious hydrophytes shows the presence of stomata. In floating hydrophytes, stomata are only found in the upper epidermis. Lower epidermis is lacking any kind of stomata. Submerged hydrophytic plants doesn't show any kind of stomata. That means depending upon group of the hydrophyte, it may be stomata may be present or may be absent. Stomata are absent in submerged hydrophytes. Stomata may be present in floating hydrophytes and amphibious hydrophytes. Then mesophyll tissue. In many hydrophytic plants, the mesophyll tissue is not differentiated into palisade tissue and spongy tissue. But in some hydrophytic plants, the mesophyll tissue is differentiated into palisade tissue and spongy tissue. For example, if we take the submerged hydrophytic plants, the mesophyll tissue is not differentiated. Mesophyll tissue is not differentiated in submerged hydrophytic plants. But in another group, hydrophytic plants, the mesophyll tissue is differentiated into palisade tissue and spongy tissue. Then about the vascular tissue. Vascular tissues in leaf. The vascular tissues are also poorly developed. That means xylem tissue, phloem tissue is poorly developed in the leaves also. As far as conducting tissue is concerned, as far as mechanical tissues are concerned, as like root and stem, these vascular tissues and mechanical tissues are also poorly developed in leaves also. Then finally, I am going to discuss the physiological adaptations shown by the hydrophytic plants. So, one important physiological adaptation, first important physiological adaptation shown by this hydrophytic plant is the water and nutrients are absorbed by entire plant body. That means in case of another group, in case of epiphytes, in case of parasite, in case of mesophytes, in case of xerophyte, another plant organs are not involved in the absorption of water and nutrients. Only root take part in absorption of water and nutrient with the help of root hairs. But in aquatic plants, for example, Hydrilla, stem epidermis can take part in absorption of nutrients and water. Leaf epidermis can take part in absorption of nutrient and water. That's why root system is very poorly developed. The function of root is done by entire plant body. Absorption of nutrient which are dissolved in the water. This function is done by entire body epidermis. This is the important physiological adaptation shown by the hydrophytic plants. That means water and nutrients are absorbed by entire plant body. Number 2, osmotic concentration of cell sap is nearly equal or slightly higher than surrounding water medium. So this is the second important physiological adaptation shown by these hydrophytic plants. Then next physiological adaptation shown by the hydrophytic plants is chloroplast. So chloroplast in land plants or mesophytic plants, xerophytic plants, epiphytic plants, chloroplast is generally not distributed throughout the plant body. Chloroplast is only present in leaves, aerial organs like leaves. If plant is herbaceous, it is showing chloroplast in stem also. But in woody plant, only leaves are having chloroplast. But in hydrophytic plants, chloroplast is distributed throughout the plant body. Chloroplast is found in epidermis of the stem. Chloroplast is found in some root also. Chloroplast is found in leaf epidermis also, stem epidermis also. That means in most of the organs, chloroplast is distributed throughout the plant body. This is the physiological adaptation which is required by these hydrophytic plants. Then CO2 evolved during respiration is partly utilized for photosynthesis, which is stored in these air chambers. So air chambers are prominently observed in stem, in root, as well as leaves also. And this CO2, which is stored in this air chamber, is partly utilized by the plants, hydroponic plants, for photosynthesis, and O2 evolved during photosynthesis process is partly utilized for respiration purpose, cell respiration purpose. So these are the prominent physiological adaptations shown by the hydrophytic plants. So that's all about the anatomical adaptations in hydrophytes. Okay.